Well, hello, everybody. You know, it's one of those things. It's not a matter of if something's going to just kind of be weird. It's a matter of when it comes to live video. It's part of it. So, hey, here's the deal. We made a goof up. We totally goofed up. We scheduled the stream and we scheduled it for the wrong time. Like it wasn't the normal time we were wanting to go live. So we're a little bit late. Sorry about that, but it's no big deal, right? Because you're here with me live. We got all kinds of people hanging out with me, right? All kinds of people. We got Mike. He's here hanging out with us. What's going on, Mike? How are you today? All the way from Ontario, Canada. Where are you guys watching from? I would love to know. So this is our Ask StreamYard show. Now, we're doing this every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Not 12 p.m., not 12 or 11 p.m., none of that stuff, right? 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to do this every week. And sometimes we even might just get a little bit out of sorts and goof up a little bit. So we accidentally, when we set up the stream, we totally did the wrong thing. So I'm going to talk about scheduling your streams. Ironically enough, we're going to be talking about scheduling streams today. And you know what? Sometimes you got to double check a few things. But one of the things that I do love about StreamYard, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit and we're going to get into this, but I do love how you can actually go in, schedule a stream, and you can change your mind. You can say, you know what? I said I was going to go live Friday at 2, but now my kid's got a birthday party and I'm not going to be home or whatever. Let's go ahead and bump that up to 1 o'clock. Let's do it a little earlier than we were planning, and let's do it at 1 o'clock. You can simply go in, you can edit it, and your audience will be notified. Now, you can't do that on LinkedIn. There are some limitations with LinkedIn, but that's okay. So anyways, we'll get into some of that stuff today because today, again, this is our Ask StreamYard show. So good morning to all of you. It is morning here. It is morning here, right? So I'm in Indiana. I'm in the Eastern time zone. So it is morning here. So wherever you're watching from, Angie, it's morning for her too, because she's in Ohio. So we've got that right there too. So what's up, John? It's afternoon for you and down in Nashville, Tennessee. Fun little place. We got the Bay Area of California. Fantastic. We got Miami, Florida. Love it. Awesome. Okay. All right, my friends, let me just check in on you guys. I got to see what's going on. I have to give a quick shout out to Rio because Rio's like, wait, what time is it? Is it 11? What's going on? And we went live and I was like, we're live now. Rio's like, all right, I don't know what's happening. Rio, we're just going to go with it. So y'all, we're just going to go with it. This is going to be fantastic. It's going to be good. Okay. 4 p.m. in London. Yeah. You know what? Hey, we're all over the world right now. So whatever time it is, hey, what's going on, right? Okay, here's the deal. My name is Melanie Dyann Howe. I like to just be called Mel, right? That's why I always says Mel. So call me Mel. I am a live streaming mentor here for you guys at StreamYard. And so I get to come on here every other week and take a question that we get posted in our community and I get to answer it and I love it. And I'm also inside our Facebook community as a user. I'm a StreamYard lover. I love StreamYard. I use it in my own business to help people go live and learn how to use live video in their businesses. But I also really love being able to come on and help you guys in these shows. So today's question is a really good one. In fact, this question comes up a lot, and it's around scheduling your live. But before we dive into that today, I do want to make sure that you guys know that we are multi-streaming today. So we're on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. That is one of the beautiful things of StreamYard. It lets us multitask. So if you see me pulling up a comment from YouTube and you're over on Facebook, you're going to be like, what? I'm so confused. Rosalind says, this is the perfect conversation because I'm having issues right now for scheduled stream tonight. Rosalind, let me know what the issues are. We're going to be talking about it, but let me know what your issues are and I'll try to help you out. So what this show is, this is called our Ask StreamYard show. And so what happens here is if you're in our Facebook community and you got a question about StreamYard, use the hashtag Ask StreamYard, and we might select your question and feature your question and you on the show. We like to pick questions that we feel the community in general. So if we don't pick every single Ask StreamYard question, but this is a chance for you to maybe get your question featured, but also we'll take a deep dive, right? And that's what we're going to do today. So if you have questions around strategy and using StreamYard and live video and all the things, then post it in our group and we might select you and feature you and we'll send you a t-shirt. Maybe it'll be like this one right here that I'm wearing today, right? So this thing is soft, by the way. I love this shirt. It's soft. I sort of wish that it was more, my StreamYard logo was more visible in the shot, but it's okay. We're going to go with it. So yes. And so we're doing this every single Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So right now, that's what our schedule is. And so put it on your calendar. And even if we get the schedule wrong in our actual scheduled app, then hey, we're still going to try to go live at 11 a.m. Eastern time like today. So we're going to roll with it. It's what happens, okay? All right, so here we go. Let's dive into today's question. Today's topic is actually a really, really good one. So we got this question posted by Sam. Sam posted this question a while ago, but again, we get this question a lot. And it's, hey, what's the best practice? What is the recommended amount of time to schedule a live stream in advance of your scheduled start? A few hours, a few days, a week? Right? So again, we do get this question quite a bit. And so I liked the question. I wanted to grab this one and I wanted to talk about it. So here's the thing though. Should you even schedule your live streams in advance? We're going to kind of pull Sam's question and we're going to do a little miniature training today. That's how we like to do this show. So I'm going to cover a few things that I want you to consider when it comes to scheduling a live stream. We're going to I'll show you how to schedule your live stream in StreamYard. And then we will talk about some best practices. How does that sound? Does that sound good to you guys? All right. So I'm going to check in on you guys again. This is fantastic. All right. Oh, Future Cars Man of Life is here. What's going on? First time watching. Fantastic. All right. So we've got, Christopher says, excellent question. Yeah, this is going to be good. So we're going to dive in. You guys ready? If you have other questions. So London Bridge Bricks, I have a question. Is it possible to use music with StreamYard Live, but I'll post the question as well? Yeah, here's the deal. We actually covered this exact topic 4 weeks ago. I think it was 4 weeks ago. We did a really awesome show about using music in your live streams and some ways that you can do that in your broadcast. So London Bridge, go to the YouTube channel, watch you'll see a playlist for all the Ask StreamYard shows. We totally went deep on this topic and we talked about epidemic sound and all the things. We aren't going to dive into that today, but that's what we're going to do. You can go back and watch that replay. So good question though. Love it. Okay, here we go. So let's dive in. Let me get my notes set up. I like to have notes. People ask me this all the time. They say, do you use a teleprompter? Do you use notes? What do you do? I will tell you most of the time my notes are on an index card because when it's my own show, I kind of do a little planning and prepping and I put the high level key points on an index card and it sits down right in front of me. But for these types of shows where there's a little bit more content, a little bit more things to cover, then I like to actually just create some notes. So I just use the Google Doc and I just pull it up on my other monitor and I just look over at it every once in a while and I cover the bases, right? I will tell you that this is my style. I like to be very transparent in how I do things because I know that you all are, sometimes you're wondering, what's the best way to do this? How do you keep up with all the stuff? And I know that question actually comes up. Like, do you use a teleprompter? Do you have notes? Is it okay to look at my notes? Heck yes, it's okay to look at your notes, right? What's more important, you getting the content correct or never looking away from the camera? Getting the content correct. Content is always the most important thing. So I want to make sure you all focus on that. Okay. All right. So here's what we got. Here's the first thing I want to talk about. StreamYard, how to invite. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, actually, just so you know. So great question, but there you go. All right. So here's what I got. I'm going to talk about a few things that you should consider. Now, the first thing I want to say is some people say, well, why should I live stream? Why should I schedule my live video? So there are some benefits to scheduling your live video but here's the thing, not every single live broadcast should be scheduled. Oh, what? We're always hearing that you should schedule your broadcast. Yes, I actually think it is best practice to schedule your broadcast for many reasons that I'm going to cover. But I also want you to understand that not every single broadcast needs or should be scheduled. So here's the deal. First things first, you have to start with a strategy. You need to have a live video strategy. Now, don't overthink this. Don't go too far with it. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about, when I am going to go live, what are my goals? What am I trying to accomplish here? Who's my audience? What content do they care about, right? That's what I'm talking about. Don't just go live and wing it and be all random, right? Be thinking about that stuff because you will get more benefit out of your live broadcast if you approach them strategically. Now, strategically can be a scary word for some people. Some people are like, I'm just trying to have fun. Totally fine. That's your strategy though. Right? So fun can be the strategy. Having fun, maybe it's a hobby for you. Maybe you just want to communicate with the world, show them, your coin collection or, show them your bass fishing collection, whatever it might be. That's totally fine. Totally fine. But that's still a strategy, right? Now, you also, maybe you're part of a corporate company or you're part of a business and you're like, we want to use live video because we want to, grow our audience. We want to talk about our online courses. We want to do all these things. That's also a strategy. So strategy sometimes I feel like scares some people away. Everybody has a strategy, whether you're using live video for fun and personal reasons or whether you're using it for business or organizational reasons, right? So everybody's got a strategy. So what is your strategy? You have to start there. Now, part of your strategy needs to include, when are you going to go live, right? Are you going to go live once a month? Are you going to go live once a week? I hope so, right? Hint, hint, I hope so. Are you going to go live every day? Holy crap. Some people do it. That's their strategy. That's what they do. But you have to start out and you have to figure out, when are you going to go live? And once you decide how that's going to operate and how that's going to work in your strategy, now you're ready to start thinking about scheduling those live videos in advance. So here's the deal. There are some benefits of scheduling your live videos. And some of the benefits are that when you schedule a live video, okay, like literally the actual scheduling of it, it's going to notify your followers, especially anyone that has selected to get notifications when you post and do things. Because on Facebook, over on LinkedIn, on YouTube, it's going to actually put your live video out there into the world, right? It's going to show things. So let me show you a quick example really fast. I'm going to pull up my screen here, and I'm going to show you what this looks like when you're following a page. So I'm going to show you our, I'm going to show you our StreamYard YouTube page. So let me share my screen so that you understand what I mean when I talk about this. All right. So this is the StreamYard stream. Oh, look, we're live right now. Hey, right? So any of you that have subscribed to our channel and you've selected get notified, you got a notification. Now look here, check it out. Upcoming live streams, right? Upcoming live streams. That is what your audience is going to see. What if someone just discovered your channel and they see, oh, sweet, they've got this really cool show coming up here on tomorrow night, and they're going to talk about this guy is going to be on the show. Patrick's going to be on the show. Guess what? They can click set reminder. Oh, you know what's going to happen now? When StreamYard goes live, I'm going to get a notification from YouTube that's going to say StreamYard's live right now. So that's a big benefit to you scheduling a live video. Now, this works the same way on Facebook. Facebook says the same thing. It'll say, Melanie Dyann Howe plans to go live Thursday at whatever time, right? For me on my show, it's Tuesdays at 2:00. So that is the benefit, is that you're going to actually, your audience is going to see a post that you're going live. They can say, oh, I'm interested in that. I want to get a reminder for that thing. Boom. The other thing that's going to happen is you're already teasing what you're going to be talking about. So let's say, for example, for this show here was, hey, should you schedule your live? How do you schedule your live, right? Some of you might be like, ooh, I've been thinking about that. I've heard I should be scheduling it, but I have a bunch of questions around that. I want to make sure I watch that show. We have teased the topic, so you can now select whether or not you want to join or not. Hey, our news feeds are flooded with content. Like, holy crap, right? There's a reason why all these channels have algorithms, and it's so that they can try to spoon feed what we care about and what we want to see. But you can also be selective, and you can control what you see as well. You may not want to tune into every single show from every person you're subscribed to, but you are going to want to hand select the ones that you want. Now, if you didn't schedule a broadcast, here's the other thing that's going to happen. It's going to say, Melanie Dyann Howe is live. And what if your audience is like, well, I sure wish I knew about that. I would have saved some time. Hi, leaf blower guy. What's up? I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. I'm using a nicer, fancier microphone. Maybe it brought it in. Maybe it didn't. It doesn't matter because we're going to roll with it just like we roll with everything. All right. So your audience may be like, I'm in the car, or they may not even see the notification when they are on their phone. Hey, we're all addicted to our phones, yes, but that doesn't mean we're always on our phones and available. So when you schedule it, they could actually say, you know what? I'm going to tune in. I'm going to put that in my calendar. I'm going to make sure I'm available at that time that day. The other thing that is going to happen, here's the other benefit. Remember how I said it puts that post out there, right? So they see the post. So-and-so plans to go live. They're going to talk about XYZ. Boom. Well, that's cool. And then when you do go live, and they get that notification, they're going to be like, oh yeah, they're talking about scheduling your live video today. I really want to make sure I tune into that. They already knew what you were going to talk about. You're creating a trailer. There's a reason why, for example, we watch TV, we see previews to our favorite shows. They show us previews. It's because they're creating interest. One, they're also creating a repetition of you knowing that show's coming up and what it's about. Same thing with movies. There's a reason why these previews are published, because we need to know what's going on ahead of time. So there is an added benefit. Not only that, they get to see that you're going to go live and they can put it in their calendar. They can select get notified so that it will actually notify them of that live broadcast. And 3, they already know what the show's about. You've already piqued their interest. And so then when you actually do go live, it's going to spark that thing. Oh yeah, she said she was going to talk about that really fun, exciting topic today, right? And so that's a big benefit of scheduling your live streams. Okay, that's a huge, huge, huge one. So I wanted to point that out. Let me check in on you guys. This is a good one. Oh, it's kind of like a teaser, like a little sneak peek about what I'm going to be talking about. So London Bridge Brick says, I live stream a lot and I use Instagram to advertise it. Boom. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about that. That's another added benefit, is that if you scheduled in advance, you could actually use some other tactics to drive traffic to your live broadcast so that you get more people showing up live. Because that's what we want. We want people showing up live, just like you guys are here hanging out with me today, right? Okay, love this. My Living Room Live says, we've been going live once a week for 4 years. Yes, I love it. So that's a question I get a lot is, well, how often should I be going live? How do I create a schedule? Here's what I recommend. If you can, best practice is to pick a day of the week and a time and to do it regularly and consistently the same day and the same time each week. Think about when we tune into our favorite TV shows, okay? Our favorite TV shows, Grey's Anatomy, whatever it is you watch that you're like totally into, right? You know what night of the week it's on. You know what time it comes on. You plan around it, right? You know, I'm going to sit down and watch it. And if you know you can't watch it because maybe it's past your bedtime or you were going to be at your kid's baseball game or whatever it might be, and you weren't going to be able to tune in, but you knew you were going to be missing it, didn't you? Because you know what day of the week it's on and you know what time of the week it's on, right? You're going to make sure you watch the replay, right? You're more likely to go and watch the replay of that show because you knew it was on and you knew ahead of time, you knew before that you were going to miss it because it's the same day and time every week. You look forward to it, okay? So that is another reason why scheduling your live videos, doing it in advance, but also doing it on a schedule. Okay, so there's one thing to schedule the live, like actually schedule the live. It's another thing to have a schedule. I think you should have a schedule, and then you can schedule those live videos in advance. Okay, so I love that. Once a week is great. Some people also want to know, they're like, well, once a week, but that's not enough for me because I have guests on my show. I also talk about these things. You could totally have more than one show in a week, right? But something to think about. So here at StreamYard, what they do, Ask StreamYard. It's Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern time, even when we goof up on scheduling it, right? It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. The StreamYard Spotlight, Thursday nights with Dana. It's Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right? The StreamYard Town Hall is Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right? So there you go. They're always the same day and time each week. It's the same reoccurring schedule. Now, sometimes you have an every other. You might do every 2 weeks for some shows, right? So for example, our StreamYard office hours that we do inside of the Facebook community, exclusive for Facebook community members only. Why aren't you in the community if you're not over in the Facebook community? Get in there. We go live every 2 weeks and we do a show called Office Hours where Julie and I literally just answer questions. We answer common questions about the StreamYard application. And that's what we do. That's every 2 weeks. The audience becomes accustomed to it. So the benefits of having a schedule and then scheduling your broadcasts is you will get more people showing up live ahead of time, right? More showing up live ahead of time. Future cars. I love relating this topic to TV shows, right? It's one of those things. Yeah, so London Bridge Bricks, totally agree. Every week at the same time. I do this every Friday, and this week is episode 72. That's awesome. Congrats on your 72 second episode. That's really, really fantastic. So, all right, here we go. My living room, they've always done theirs. She said 4 years now, 7:30 Eastern every single time. I love it. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Okay, cool. Landlord Advocate says we did our first inaugural StreamYard live stream this past Monday. Congrats. We scheduled it one day before. We had a great 3-hour show. Congrats. That's awesome. Fantastic. This is great. I love hearing that you guys are actually scheduling your live broadcasts, right? Robin says, as a new streamer, publishing intent to go live keeps me from backing out to do. Yeah. You guys, this is the other thing. I love that Robin said this. So I love this. So Robin is right. If you schedule that broadcast, it also is going to, like, think about all those times you're like, okay, Friday, I'm going to go live at 1:00. I'm doing it. If you actually schedule it using StreamYard so that it shows up so your audience sees it, you are that much less likely to back out at the last minute versus if you're like, okay, it's, all right, I got to do my live today at 1:00. Now I'll do it next week. How easy is it to back out? But if it's scheduled and you put it out there in the world that you're doing it and people selected stuff, you're like it's very unlikely that you're going to let the nerves back you out of it. So I love that Robin posted that because that is another absolute benefit of doing that. How about that cigar? Love it. We go live every Monday at 8:30 and always schedule in advance. We also tease on Instagram beforehand and publish links to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch on our website a few days prior. It works great. I love this. So I absolutely love this. This is absolutely the thing I want to talk about here in a minute. But before I do that, let me pull something up really quickly because I wanted to cover one of the things that comes up with this. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it as well. For any of you that are like, how do you actually do that in StreamYard? I'm not sure how to actually do it. Here's the thing I want to make sure everybody knows though, because sometimes we get this question too. All right. So there are some limitations to scheduling your live broadcast. So you can, because we also get this question, how far in advance should you schedule your live broadcast? In fact, that was Sam's question today. We are answering Sam's question. So for any of you that are joining us now, we're talking about scheduling your broadcast. This is our Ask StreamYard show. But things to consider. Facebook, you cannot schedule a broadcast more than 1 week in advance. And it is like to the minute, okay? It is like to the minute. You cannot schedule that broadcast. Same with LinkedIn. YouTube, you can pretty much do it anytime, right? So how far in advance would you want to? Well, it depends, right? I love you scheduling it within a week. Now, some types of shows or events or, if you have a big showcase that you're promoting well in advance, then you may want to go ahead and have that scheduled as far in advance as possible, just so that you can be using the link to be sharing. Now, again, you can only do that on YouTube because Facebook and LinkedIn, you're limited. You're going to get a link to the broadcast. You could be promoting that right now. What you could also be doing, because let's say you posted a month in advance. Let's just use that as a scenario, right? A month in advance, and you're like, well, I got my YouTube link, but what about my people that are over on LinkedIn and Facebook? Well, you could actually create a little email opt-in form and say, hey, do you want us to send you a link when it's ready for Facebook a week before the show? And they could say, yeah, send me the link. Boom, boom, boom. Now you just got them on your email list, right? And you can set it up so that you email them that Facebook link when it's available, right? The other thing that you can do if you have a really, really little audience and you want to be really, really personal is you could say, hey, we're going to be live coming up in 30 days. You just make a regular post about this. And you could say, if you want us to send you a link when it's ready, send us a DM. Right? And then they send you a DM, says like, send me the link. And then you can go in and you can personally send them a link every time. Now, I would not recommend this for scaled audiences. That's a lot of manual work. But if you have a small audience, that's one of the best ways you can nurture them is to actually add a little personal touch to it. Right? But I love the idea of you doing an opt-in, get them on your email list. And then a week in advance, when you have that link on those other platforms, you can then send them the link at that point. Right? And just say, tune in where you prefer to tune in. Right? So exactly. Mike says you can advertise a special show or special guest more than a week in advance. Tease your audience. Yes. So just because you can't schedule it, like literally like in the app more than a week in advance on LinkedIn and Facebook, you can still be talking about it, right? And you should be talking about it. You should absolutely be teasing it, especially if it's a pretty big show that's very significant. Now, let's back up a little bit here, because remember how I said I wanted you going live once a week, every week, same day, same time? In those situations, I do not think that you should be scheduling it more than a week in advance. And I do not think that you would want to really promote the, like, let's say the Ask StreamYard. We're not going to be talking about next week's episode like before this week, right? I don't want to talk about our Ask StreamYard episode that's coming up in 3 weeks, because we have 2 more episodes to do between then. And it's every week. You know what I want to do? I want you tuning in every week. So I'm going to talk about next week. And then the next week, we're going to talk about the next week. And then the next week, we're going to talk about the next week, because it's a reoccurring show. It's a reoccurring show and a reoccurring schedule. And so when it's that kind of situation, my suggestion is you schedule it within that duration of the in-between. I don't know if anybody, I don't know. I just was about to make a reference to Stranger Things, but it's fine. We're not going to do that. That's a rabbit hole. Forget it. You know what I'm talking about, right? Literally, you in the in-between of your shows, that's when you schedule and start promoting. Now, there may be exceptions. Maybe, for example, you have a really big guest coming on and you don't normally have guests, but it still fits into your weekly reoccurring live show broadcasting schedule. That's fine. So you might say, hey, in 3 weeks, I've got a super awesome guest, right? Seth Godin's going to be on my show. If I had Seth Godin on my show, you bet your butts I'd be promoting it more than a week in advance. But that's an exception, right? So there are going to be exceptions. Always know that everything that we talk about, there is no concrete 100% formula to success here. You have to know what works for you. I'm just giving you some things to consider and some best practices, right? Okay, so fantastic. All right, let's see here. Checking on everybody. So that is what I want to talk about next, though. I want to talk about, just so you guys know, any of you that are joining us, this is our Ask StreamYard show, and we are talking about scheduling your live streams, right? So what's the best practice? How much time? And we just kind of covered a little bit about that. Few hours, few days, a week. So Sam Hummelstein in our group posted this question, and we wanted to cover this topic today because it is a common topic that we get. So if you have a question, again, as a reminder, if you have a question that you want to have featured on the Ask StreamYard show, go into our Facebook community, post the question, use the hashtag AskStreamYard, and we just might feature your question on the show. We like to select questions that we know a lot of people also have, but we also like to select questions that it's not just like a quick little answer, that we can take a deeper dive and talk about it more as a broad topic, right? And that's what we're doing today. So the answer is, how far in advance should you schedule your live broadcast? Well, it depends on your actual strategy and your schedule. It also depends on that particular broadcast. So we just covered that if you have a really important show, you may want to be promoting it earlier in advance, right? But the general rule of thumb, to be honest with you, is a week. If you have your show scheduled and you're doing a weekly reoccurring schedule, then schedule it a week in advance. Facebook and LinkedIn allow you to do a 1 week in advance. YouTube allows you to go further out. Now, if you are like the kind of person you're like, Mel, I don't want to be touching this every week. I don't want to do that. I want to sit down and I just want to schedule this crap. I want to get it scheduled. I don't want to worry about this every week. If that's what needs to work for you, then that's what needs to work for you. So on YouTube, you may sit down and be like, here's all of my July live broadcasts that are all scheduled. That's totally fine. I see lots of people do this and it's completely fine. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you, right? Okay. So, let me see here. All right. So here's the deal. We just talked about some things that I want you to consider, but let me go ahead and before I move on to the other added benefits and what you should be doing. We tease it. A lot of you are saying, hey, you schedule it and then promote it. Yes, we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, let me just go ahead and show you how to actually, let me show you how easy this is. That's what I'd rather say. Not show you how to do this in StreamYard. Let me show you how flippin' easy this is, because you guys, it is like so easy, right? I always say you can create amazing professional live streams if you have StreamYard and a mouse. It's that simple. It's literally that easy. So here we go. Here's how you schedule your actual live stream video. Now, to schedule a stream in StreamYard, it's incredibly easy. Simply go up to Create Broadcast, select where your destination is going to be, or if you're multi-streaming, select all of the destinations, pick a title, say something fun. Let's just be fun here. And then you're going to select schedule for later. Now you're going to notice that you have an option to upload a thumbnail. I highly recommend you do upload a thumbnail that's going to create interest in your show. So we're going to select an image, just select something fun. You're going to notice it's going to allow you to crop it. And then you're going to select the day and the time in which you're going to go live. And then honestly, you just simply go here. It's going to give you an option to change it for each destination. And it's that simple. Now select create broadcast and you're ready to go. I mean, seriously, like all you need is this. You need this. You need a few other things, but that's okay. You need a webcam, a microphone, all that stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But I always say, that's all it takes is this thing. This thing is powerful when you have StreamYard. Clicking around, displaying comments. By the way, if you wondered how I did that, I used the amazing video share feature inside of StreamYard. So when you go down to share your screen, you have an option to share your screen, as I did earlier, and you have an option to share a video that's on your computer. And that's exactly what I did. So it's that simple, right? Okay, so that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Literally as simple. Now, one of the things I did talk about is I did talk about thumbnails. And Christopher, gosh, you guys, it's like you guys are you guys looking at my Google Doc? Is my Google Doc like, did it somehow get like hacked and everybody can see it? Because you guys are like totally in the flow of my head right now, right? So Christopher says, I create different thumbnails for each show using Canva. It helps a lot to grab attention. Christopher, I also use Canva, and so does StreamYard. Canva is an amazing tool. There are other tools out there that will help you design thumbnails, but I do want to talk about the actual thumbnail because it is important. If you're going to schedule a live broadcast in advance, it is effective. Okay, it is effective if you design a thumbnail. Now, what is a thumbnail? The thumbnail is that preview image. Remember when I showed you earlier the YouTube channel? I'll pull it up again really quick here. Da-da-da-da-da. I like to hum when I'm clicking around. I hope it doesn't bother you. I know I don't have a lot of good, I'm not a singer, but it's okay, right? You guys can just go with it. You can go with it. Okay, so this is the thumbnail, right? That you see right here. Let me make this bigger. Da, 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 da. See, I like to hum when I do stuff. Here, this is the thumbnail. Look, we've got somebody's face on it. We've got his name. We've got Dana and Kelsey right here, right? Here's our Ask StreamYard thumbnail. It doesn't have a person on it, but you see it. And then look, all of these thumbnails also carry over. When you're done with your broadcast, it's also what shows up automatically. So you're actually killing two birds with one stone here. When you design a thumbnail and you schedule that broadcast, that's also the thumbnail that's going to be used after your broadcast. Now, if you don't use a thumbnail, it's going to just grab some random screenshot, from your video where you might be like, I don't know, making a crazy face. Like have you ever had that happen? Or one of these are the worst. Like when you're mid-blink. It's like they find the worst face ever and they make that the thumbnail automatically. You have to then manually go in there and be like, no, I don't want to look like that when people are coming to my live broadcast, right? No, if you do that, what's going to happen is it's going to select that thumbnail you used when you uploaded. So as you can see here, all of our Ask StreamYard thumbnails, they're all there, right? And here we go. There's Kevin, there's me, there's Kevin, there's me on today's show right now. So the thumbnail is important for the after effect, but it's also really important because, again, it's creating that preview. It's creating interest. Just like Christopher said, it grabs attention, right? It grabs attention. So take the time to create a thumbnail. Now, if you don't create a thumbnail, if you do not use a thumbnail, you can still schedule your broadcast. And I don't know what, it does the same thing. It's going to pull your cover photo and that's going to be your thumbnail. Now, what's really cool is let's say you're like, I got to get this scheduled. I got to schedule it now. I don't have time to make a thumbnail today. I'll make one tonight. You can actually create your broadcast, schedule your broadcast, right? And then it'll use your cover photo. And then you can actually go into StreamYard after the fact that it's scheduled, edit your stream, and you can edit the thumbnail. And guess what? It automatically updates your thumbnail on all of your posts that were already out there. Now, LinkedIn is a platform that does not allow this. LinkedIn's still pretty restricted as far as what you can kind of do there as far as making changes. But let's say this. Take the time, create a thumbnail. Now, use an app like Canva or Easel or Placeit. There's so many apps out there. Trello, Adobe Spark. There's tons of design apps out there now. Use these apps, make a thumbnail, before you go live. Be part of your strategy, right? Part of your plan. You have a schedule so you can plan now. Design that thumbnail with the intent of it's going to help grab attention of your audience, right? If you have a guest, use their picture in the thumbnail if you can, right? Always use people in your thumbnails if you can. And put the title of your broadcast, right? And use it. Now, if you're like, I'm on a time crunch, I don't love design, yada, 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 yo. Do something simple. Make a graphic and use the same one each week for a while and then change it up. That's okay, right? I love a new graphic every time, like Christopher said, but that doesn't necessarily fit everybody, but do something, right? Do something. Create a thumbnail, use it reoccurringly if you have to, change it up every once in a while. So definitely. Okay. Yeah. So, EM says you should make your thumbnail before you're live. I totally agree. I do agree for the reasons I just said, right? Exactly. So definitely. Oh, screen captures. Yep. James, Mike, I guarantee those guys are going to like totally get me on that one. I feel that one coming. I feel it coming. But that's okay. I don't care. It is it is me. It's me, right? So definitely. London Bridge, they use Canva as well. I think Canva is so great, you guys. It's so great. I love it. Angelic Creations TV. Same. I use Canva to promote the scheduled show. Actually, I make my husband do it most of the time. Fantastic. Personal assistant right in the house, right? Everybody, we got a lot of Canva users in here. Now, that's something else I wanted to talk about is Canva. So let's talk about the next thing. You should be promoting. Now that you have your live stream scheduled, you can now promote that live broadcast. Yes, you should be promoting it. Don't just schedule it and think that because you posted it, they will come. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, they'll come. Some people will come. But if you want to maximize those live viewers, then there's some ways that you should promote it. Now, again, quickly, if you're just now joining us, we are talking about scheduling your live shows. Should you schedule your live show? How far in advance should you schedule your live show? We'll do a recap here in a minute, but definitely if you're just tuning in, you're going to want to come tune in and catch the replay because we are answering Sam's question, which is all about scheduling your live videos. But I'm taking it a little bit further, and we are talking about the best practices here when it comes to scheduling. And now we are talking about the next thing we're going to talk about is promoting it. You need to be promoting your live broadcast. And that's one of the added benefits of when you schedule in advance, you can actually promote it. And so what I want you to be doing is, okay, let's say your live video is on YouTube and on Facebook. Great. Well, I want you to go ahead and create other content and talk about what you're going to be talking about. So let's say you're going to have a guest, right? Let's say you're going to have a guest on your show. Use the same thumbnail image, maybe tweak the design up a little bit and create a new post and say, hey, in 3 days, we've got so-and-so on the show. Make sure you tune in. Here's a link where you can set a reminder. And what you're going to do is you're going to use that same post that got created, the one I showed you earlier, and they can then click on that link and then they can say, yes, I want to get reminded. When you schedule a broadcast, yes, it's going to put that post out there like I said, but that's not enough. I want you to take it further. Really maximize all these amazing tools that we have, okay? So a couple ideas for you. One, make a video, right? Make a short little teaser video and say, oh my gosh, you guys, this week on Ask StreamYard, we are talking about scheduling live stream broadcasts, and I cannot wait to tell you all the best practices, how far in advance you should you do it, what about thumbnails, and how can you get more live viewers to your broadcast when you schedule a show. Make sure you tune in Wednesday at 11 a.m., not 12 Eastern time, and I will dive in deep. Done. 30-second commercial. Record a commercial. That's what you need to do. Again, going back to what I talked about earlier, Grey's Anatomy. They don't just rely on the audience to know it's Thursdays at whatever. I don't know what time it is anymore. It used to be Thursdays at 9, Thursdays at 9 o'clock. But they don't just rely on that. No, you see little ads and commercials about the next week's show coming up all week long, right? You might even see an ad on Facebook. You might even see a post on the Grey's Anatomy Facebook page where they are actually talking about what the show's gonna be on Facebook. They're using social media too to talk about their show. You should be utilizing these because these people have been doing this for years and it works, right? So create a little short video, upload it to your social media channels. Go to your Instagram stories, your stories everywhere. Everybody has stories, YouTube shorts, Facebook stories, right? Go everywhere and give people a preview of what you're going to be talking about. Create these posts, right? Maybe even use these posts as an opportunity to ask a question. What questions do you have about scheduling your live videos, right? And then boom, 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 you might get some comments and you kind of already have a good preview about what your audience is going to care about in that show. So it's not just about promoting and getting people to show up live. You can utilize these pre-posts, right, to gain some insights about your audience who's going to be tuning in. Then you are going to be able to create an even better show. Maybe somebody posted something like, oh, we didn't even think about that part. We didn't even think about that part. Make sure we'll include it. Done. Check. Right? This is how you create good, engaging content for your audience. Now, I like the idea of you doing this that week in advance, right? You schedule your post, you go to whatever platforms you can, and you talk about that show that's coming up. And then do at least another post about it, talk about it. And then also, as I said, utilize those stories, but I want you to think about that final reminder that, oh, show's going to start in 30 minutes. Show starts in 1 hour. But you could also use these stories where you have that 24-hour story. So go to Instagram and say, tonight's show is going to be so off the hook. If you say things like off the hook, I don't say that. I don't even know why I just said that. Tonight's show is going to be off the hook. Maybe I should start saying that. Anyway, get there, get excited, drum that up. Again, somebody's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's tonight. I saw that post earlier. That's right. That's tonight. And then even like right before you go live, you can do a last minute, last call kind of thing and be like behind the scenes, be like, here I am. I'm getting ready to go live. You guys. Got my setup. I got my screen set up over here. Got my notes. I'm so excited to interview Seth Godin. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be off the hook. Oh, I'm supposed to be talking to my phone because I'm doing it behind the scenes, right? Behind the scenes with my setup. And then you post that and they're going to be like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then you can delete it after the fact, right? If you want to. But I love the idea of using social media ahead of time to promote, to drive this traffic, get those reminders out there. Because here's the thing. Did I say this earlier? I know I did. Your news feeds are busy. So are your audiences. That one scheduled post is not always good enough, right? They need to see more posts. They may only see one out of the 3 things you posted about your upcoming live show. So don't feel like you're overdoing it, right? Offer value, ask them questions, give them some insights about what you're going to be talking about. Give them some incentive to watch, to tune in live, because you want those live viewers. And then even after the show, you can tell them to go watch the replay. But if you're not scheduling your live broadcast, you can't really do this. You can, but you're not doing it as effectively. So when you schedule a broadcast in StreamYard, you're going to get the links to your scheduled broadcast that you can then share with them so that they can go to that. You can share that. You can actually reshare that preview post, right? You can share that and use that for them to join and get that notification bell, because that's the key. We want them clicking the get notified bell or get reminder, because that's how they're going to know when you go live, ping, you're live, and they're going to tune in. You can't really do that if you don't schedule the live broadcast in advance. And if you're just tuning in and you're like, well, how do we do that in StreamYard? I showed that a little bit ago. Rewind and you will find where I show you how to schedule it with the simple clicks of this mouse, the beautiful tool that goes along with StreamYard, right? So for sure. So we talked about how far in advance you should be scheduling your live streams. We talked about how Facebook, LinkedIn, they only give you 7 days. YouTube, you can do it further in advance. I talked about you should have a plan and a schedule, right? And then we just talked about the other benefits of scheduling your live broadcast ahead of time. And so those are definitely some key things that I wanted to make sure you guys knew about that. So now, the other way that you can be driving traffic to your live broadcast is using email. I hope you have an email list. If you have an email list, if you're using your email list, you can also be emailing your list and let them know about your upcoming live broadcast. Now, your email strategy is a whole different can of worms that we are not going to cover today. That would be fun and amazing, but that's a whole nother show, right? That's a whole nother show. But your email strategy is your strategy, but you should absolutely be thinking about emailing your list and letting them know that you are going to be going live. Now, let's say, for example, your email, I'm going to cover this quickly. I said I wasn't going to talk about email strategy, but I can't help myself. I just can't help myself. If your email strategy is like, ooh, I don't really talk about that on my email list. My email list is all about these things. And I also have a blog and a podcast, and that's what I talk about. That's fine. But every once in a while, you might want to put a little PS in your email and say, hey, this Tuesday, we're going to be live talking about XYZ. Also, there may be some live broadcasts that you may need to send extra emails to. Remember the Seth Godin example? You bet your butts that I'm going to be sending more than one email to my list if I've got Seth Godin on my show, right? So seriously, if I have Seth Godin on my show, my email list is going to get a number of emails about that, because I want as many people coming into that show as possible, right? By the way, we had Seth Godin as a keynote in our virtual summit, and he was amazing. He's always amazing, right? Seriously, it depends on the show. So you may want to work on that strategy and understand, okay, well, these shows get this kind of email, but these shows get multiple emails, right? Again, just like I said, the same thing with how many posts you make, also how far in advance you schedule those live broadcasts. So email yard show. We could do that. We might have to make that happen, right? We just might have to make it happen. So small email list, but it is building up. Jeff, listen, I love a small email list. You know, I love a small email list. I love a small email list because you can delight the crap out of them. Oh my gosh. I have a pretty intimate small email list, to be honest with you. I don't have thousands and thousands of people on my email list, but I basically know I know their names. I love sending personal emails. Literally, I'll say, hey, reply to me. Tell me what you're struggling with, and I'll send you a personal email back. You have a small list, you can delight the crap out of them. So don't ever think about that. I like a small email list. I think it's actually fantastic. Okay, cool. Awesome. Christopher, glad that you're here. Glad you're getting value out of today's show. Are you guys getting value out of the show? Are you digging this? Are you loving it? Is it off the hook or off the rails, as Jeff says? Fantastic. Yes. Okay, cool. I'm checking out the comments, just like making sure, right? Making sure that you guys are good. Oh, good question. Rosalind has a question. But how do your guests find your scheduled event after you create more posts? The schedule is now way down on your page. Oh, this is a really great question. So your guests or your viewers, I'm assuming. I think maybe Rosalind means viewers. Here's the thing. You can actually schedule that post and then again, be using the link to it. So if you go to let me see if I still have it open. I do. Okay, let me just show you really quickly something awesome. Make sure I share the right thing here. Okay, we're in StreamYard. This is my little StreamYard account. Once you schedule a live broadcast, okay, you can actually go to those three dots and you will see view on Facebook, view on YouTube, wherever you have it scheduled. If you select, view on YouTube, for example, it's going to give you the link. It's going to show that preview, and there's the link up here. Copy that. That's what you can use. Now, in Facebook, it's going to be the same thing. So view on Facebook, and there, well, you got to log in. Sorry, I'm not logged in. But it's going to do the same thing. Use that link, and you can promote it, right? You can be promoting it that way. So that's definitely a key. I believe you can also pin. So if you can use it, mark it as an announcement, you can also pin posts again now. Thank God they brought that back. So if you want it to stay up top, then take that scheduled live and pin it. You want to pin it up, right? Definitely a good question though from Rosalind. Let's see, James Hicks is in the house. Everybody, James is in the house. Okay, I'm gonna see if you guys have other questions before I kind of go into a quick of my wrap up, right? Making sure I don't miss any questions. You probably have questions, right? Okay. Do you guys have questions about scheduling your live videos? That would be my question, right? So for example, if you do have feature requests, we're not going to talk about those today. I just can't. It's just not part of the show today. I love features though. I love features, but you can definitely send an email to contact@streamyard.com with your feature requests. They like to look at those and review how many people are emailing about the same feature requests, and they put them in kind of like their little planning thing. So if you do have a feature request, shoot StreamYard an email, contact@streamyard.com for sure. So, okay, let me take a look here. Great thought here. So we didn't really talk about Twitch today, but I love this. Thank you, Collecting Weekly. One thing to note, if you're streaming in advance to Twitch, it doesn't make a preview page. It just creates it when you go live. That is true. So the strategies I kind of covered today don't really apply to Twitch. Twitch is kind of its own animal, right? It's its own world. It's its own thing. It's cool. It's fine. It's very different. It doesn't fall into the same type of strategies that most of us are using when we're talking about the main platforms of Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, of course. So, but I love that you added that. That's definitely very helpful. Okay, cool. So let me close those things down and get back to my notes, because there's one last thing that I wanted to mention when I talked about promoting. The further in advance that you schedule that live broadcast, you will need to send more reminders. So if you're doing these YouTube things and you're like, I'm doing it 30 days in advance because I can, great. You need to send more reminders throughout the month, because think about, okay, let's say somebody saw it. They said, ooh, I can't wait for that. Get notified 30 days ago. And then it's time for your live. You guys, come on. People have eaten food. They have slept. Who knows what else they have done. They've seen all kinds of other stuff on social. I mean, come on, right? I can barely remember what I saw 3 days ago, let alone 30 days ago. So you're out of sight, out of mind again, right? So if you go further in advance, you may need to have a process and a strategy, keyword again, into how you're going to be promoting that going on. Now, I talked about the promotion thing. Use the tool like Canva. If you designed a graphic in Canva, then you can just use the magic resizing tool, create like an Instagram, story, still image with the similar graphic, just shaped differently so it fits that platform. Make a square version of it so it fits social media better, right? There's all these things. Use Pinterest, use all this stuff. Use these tools, create graphics, and promote people to come show up live to your stream, because that's what we want, right? That's the key, the really big key. So, all right, let me take a look here. All right, let's take a look. We are going to, oh, this is fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Vibe Show TM. Trademark. I guess I'm supposed to say that, right? Today's session is out of bounds. Watching the replay is a must. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good one. Jeff says, we try to do both. Share in advance, but share right after going live so the link shows the actual video. We usually do a 5-minute countdown to build audience and share it out live. I'm actually really glad that you brought this up, because I didn't specifically point this out. But here's the thing. Facebook made a change, I want to say it was last year sometime, where it used to be you would schedule a live broadcast on Facebook, and it basically, when you went live, that same post just essentially converted. It just turned on the live video. What was really cool about it is if anyone commented on that scheduled live post, they would be in your StreamYard studio. Those comments would be there and you could see those. Now what happens is I've got 2 hands up for a reason, so just bear with me here, okay? Now, when you schedule a post, it's going to put that post out there. It's going to say, Melanie Dyann Howe plans to go live, boom, 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 with the thumbnail. Then when you actually go into StreamYard and you say, I'm ready to go live, and you go live, it's going to create a brand new post separate from this one that is a live video. This is just a post that has a little pass through that they can click to go over to here. So literally it's going to say that they're planning to go live. And then when you go live, it creates a whole separate live video post. And so kind of what Jeff is referring to here is on this post over here, right? He's actually, once he goes live here, he gets the link. I don't know what these hand signals mean. It means I'm live and I got a link for it. He goes over here and he comments and he posts the link over here in the comments. Now this post is going to say, watch now, but it's not very intuitive. For whatever reason, it's hard to see the button. So he's going over here and he's adding the link and he's saying, hey, check it out. Boom, right? That's what he's doing. Hopefully my visual helped you guys, right? I hope that was good. So I wish there was an easier way. Honestly, an easier way to do it, Jeff. I don't know an easier way to do it, to be honest with you. I think that it's kind of one of those things, just part of it, right? Just part of it. Okay, so Digo says, hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Well, Digo, you're about to get the recap. We're about to go into recap mode. We're going to talk about it. But today, this is our Ask StreamYard show. Sam posted a question in our group. He wanted to know all about scheduling live videos, how far in advance, et cetera, et cetera. And we took a deep dive into this, answering this, and we went a little bit further and we talked about it. So let's do a quick recap, a quick summary. And if you have any other questions about this, I'm happy to stick around a little longer and answer those questions. So start posting those questions now. Do me a favor, put a Q in front of it so I can find that question nice and easily. So, all right, here's a quick recap for you guys. Here's the deal. Yes, you should be scheduling your live videos, but I want you to have a plan for an effective strategy, right? Have a plan. So we talked about strategy. I mentioned that everyone should have a strategy, even if you are using live video for personal, fun, hobbyish reasons. That's actually your strategy. You still should have a strategy as well. And part of that strategy should be a schedule. So have a schedule in mind, whether it's once a week, once a month, same day, same time, same place. Make it simple for your audience to remember you. Use a thumbnail. when you're scheduling your live broadcast. This is going to call attention to your live broadcast. It's going to help. This is what the thumbnail looks like for Ask StreamYard right here. This is the thumbnail that we are using. So when you see this thumbnail in your newsfeed, you're like, ooh, there's the Ask StreamYard episode. You don't want to create something boring. You want to create something that's going to call attention. So do that. Use a thumbnail. We talked about Canva. There are other apps out there that will help you design awesome thumbnails for your live broadcasts. That thumbnail will also be repurposed as the thumbnail that shows up on your videos tab in your YouTube, your Facebook, wherever, instead of some random face that you're making that it decides to pick instead, like this, right? Because it does that. Or, it just does it. I don't know why. They find the funny faces and they make those your thumbnail. Don't do that. You want to use a real thumbnail. All right. Lastly, when you schedule a live broadcast in advance, it gives you the opportunity to promote your streams with social media and email to get more people showing up live. When you have the schedule, right? You have the schedule, you have an enticing thumbnail, great. But then you can also just keep driving traffic to that so you get more people showing up live. And that is ultimately what we want. We want more people showing up live to our broadcasts because it's just more fun that way. It's way more fun when you have people on your show live asking questions, like all of you amazing people here today. All of you amazing people here today watching live, tuning in, right? So Jennifer says, weird. Facebook just removed the comment I was writing and removed my ability to comment. Had to reload. That is very strange. That is very strange. Okay, so Dr. Karen Jackson says, I am scheduling today. This is so encouraging and helpful. Dr. Karen Jackson, that's amazing. I'm excited to hear that. I hope that you use some of the effective strategies we talked about today. Super, super glad that you found it helpful and inspiring. That's fantastic. Okay, so Rosalind says, should you also schedule with Facebook Direct or just StreamYard? Oh, great question. If you're using StreamYard, boom, you should use StreamYard to schedule it. We love Facebook. We love Facebook. But their user interface is not the best. It's just not the best. The production studio, the live studio, it's not the best. And you know what? It's not that easy. It's not very simple, and it is certainly not intuitive on doing any of these things. If you're using StreamYard, you should totally just use StreamYard because that's all you need. You just need that. You just need to follow the prompts, watch the tutorial I showed you earlier. Boom. So simple, so easy. You don't need to do both. That's a great question, but you definitely don't need to do both for sure. Okay, I see a couple questions coming in. I want to make sure I have an opportunity to do this. Okay. Let's see. Oh, good question. Okay. Will the algos, I like your little, algorithm is hard to spell, let alone type, kind of like entrepreneur, vacuum, banana sometimes, cinnamon. That's another one that always throws me off. So I like the algos. That's smart, Christopher. Will they reward you for early scheduling of event? I don't have any stats or statistics to prove this. Somebody else may. For me, I have tested this. I have kind of tested this myself. I find that I absolutely get more live viewers when I schedule ahead. If I go live randomly, I don't get the same live viewership. Now, there are other factors that play into this. The keywords you're using, the thumbnail you're using, right? All kinds of stuff. So it's not like you just automatically get all these rewards for organic reach if you schedule a live broadcast. You still have to be thinking about some of those other things. But in my experience, I have absolutely found just more people know about it if I'm scheduling in advance. So I personally do think that for a lot of the reasons I talked about earlier, but I'm assuming the algorithms also help, but I really can't answer that specifically. The algorithms are very protective. These social media platforms are very protective about that stuff. And they also, YouTube recently came out with some content that I loved. And they basically said, don't worry about our algorithms, worry about the content. And I'm like, yes. They were like, don't worry about the algorithms or gaming the system. That's what we're trying to do to make the user experience great. If you want viewers and you want a good audience, create great content for your audience. I loved that they did that. I loved it. I thought that was the same thing. But, we want to know what we can because the algorithms are there. All right, let me check this out. Awesome. Jeff says he learned some new things. Fantastic. Love it. Jennifer says, should we delete the scheduled post on Facebook after the live stream is over? Our metrics stink on those scheduled posts and it clutters the page. But sometimes that's the link people were given and might click on it later. Okay, great. This is a great question. So what Jennifer's talking about is, remember the little visual I did earlier where I said you schedule your stream on Facebook And then when you go live, it's a whole separate post. This post remains on your page as a post. But Jennifer, you're making a great point. If you're using this link, right, anywhere, and people may be going to that link, it's going to be a broken link. In that case, I would suggest you not remove this post. Now, you might have, you can obviously be adding other content to your page, and it's going to kind of push that stuff down, right? But if you're not posting a lot, then you're going to have all these duplicate things. That is what it is. Now, you can delete this post. I am almost positive. I know I've tested. Jennifer, I think you tested this too. I feel like I saw that in our community. Jennifer's a really awesome, active, helpful community member in our StreamYard community. But if you delete this post, it does not affect this one. This one stays up. This one goes away. That one stays up. The visual is amazing, you guys. This is like the best visual ever. Don't you? That makes that so much easier for me to explain. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just because I'm always doing stuff with my hands. I do think you have to be careful about it because of that reason, Jennifer. Also, the deletion of posts, even though they get small organic reach or whatever, those things do play a factor. I do not think that the social media platforms like for us to create content and delete the content. I do not think they like that. So you could probably get away with that as long as it wasn't a lot of stuff that you're deleting. That it just causes a red flag. And if we think about that, it makes sense. You're putting something out there and you're deleting stuff all the time. That's going to like alert the robots of Facebook, and they'd be like, what are they doing? Why are they posting and deleting all the time? And there's a lot of automated systems that they use instead of humans, and your page could get locked. It could go into a little red flag bucket, right? So be careful about deleting posts. That's my other concern about that. Personally, for me, I don't delete these posts. I just don't. I don't worry about it. It doesn't seem to affect my audience, and it doesn't really bother me. So, but not everybody feels that same way. So that's a good question. It's a really good question. Okay, let's see if we have a few more questions here. I think we do. I'm looking. Okay, this is a good point. Earlier, we had a question about, do you need to duplicate a schedule? Like, do you need to also schedule it in Facebook if you schedule in StreamYard? Facebook events are just different. They require a stream key, essentially. And so they are different. You're right. You schedule a Facebook event on, you can't schedule it using StreamYard. So in that case, you have to schedule the event first on Facebook, and then use the stream key and the custom RTMP and make the event there and set the destination for the event. So you're right. That's a unique scenario for sure. Okay. Let me take a look. I see more questions. Okay. If I schedule my live on my laptop, but then have to use my cell phone to go live, will everything I set up for the live still be there? The banner, etc. I love that you asked this question because the magical answer is yes. Yes, it does. And it's one of the best things about StreamYard that I freaking love. I love this part. So it's an app. It's in the cloud. So yeah, you can design and create everything, set it all up on your computer. And let's say it's a mobile stream. You can set all this up on your computer because it's just where you like to work. And then you go out in the field, right? Let's say you're bass fishing and you want to go live. You go to your Safari, go to StreamYard, and it is the same. It's all the same. There's no need for a mobile app when it all works mobilely the same way. So all you have to do is you go to your stream, and all that stuff you set up ahead of time is all there. And yet you just do it mobilely, and vice versa. You can actually do it on your phone if you really like working on a small screen, which I don't. But this works on any computers as long as you log in. So you would need to log in on the other computer or your iPad or wherever you are, and you'll get that code emailed to you, and you log in and all your stuff is there. Your scheduled streams, all your stuff. It's no different. It's all the same. And I love that. It's one of the coolest things ever. Joshua's Union Pacific says, I love StreamYard. So do I. I'm so glad that you feel that way as well. I love that. All right. Do we have any more questions? Let's see. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so I'm glad that you were thinking the same thing about that scheduled post, my living room live for sure. So yeah. Okay, let's take a look. What else do we have? Do we have other questions? By the way, oh yeah, we do. We have another question. Okay, cool. Thank you, Jennifer, for confirming. I knew that you had tested this, and I've done it once, and I was like, tested it. I was like, it didn't seem to bother anything, but I knew you had done a test and you are so good about doing significant stuff. So she says, correct. When you delete the scheduled post, this one, it does not affect the actual live, the replay. See the visual, guys. I'm telling you, that worked, didn't it? Next time I might draw stuff on my hands. I'd have to draw it in reverse though or something, I think. So good question. Okay, my living room live. She says, does posting external links in the description of a scheduled live video affect the algorithms negatively? All right, so external links are always going to probably be an issue. Almost always. So these people, these platforms are competing with each other. And so yes, when you're posting a YouTube link on Facebook, it's like they're going to squash it. I mean, it's just the way it works. The only platform that I sort of feel like doesn't do it quite as bad is LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a little bit friendlier with YouTube links. Facebook hates YouTube links and vice versa. So you do have to be a little bit cautious about external links, which is why I personally love that if you have a community that's split, you have people on YouTube and then you also have a Facebook community, but you're just going live on YouTube, I would love for you to consider multi-streaming. Go live on both because people who hang out on Facebook like hanging out on Facebook, right? People who like to hang out on YouTube like to hang out on YouTube. They don't like to go both places. It just feels like everybody kind of likes what they want to be. They hang out where they want to hang out, right? And so when you're forcing them to go over here, when they're like, I'm never on YouTube or I don't use YouTube, you're forcing them to go somewhere they don't usually hang out and also where they're not consuming content from you on the regular, right? With your other social media posts. And so consider multi-streaming. Now, I should change my hands because this was the scheduled actual. Now let's do this because we're talking about a different topic, right? So sorry. I want you to consider multi-streaming because then you can be entertaining. You don't have to worry about external links or any of that stuff. The people who want to hang out with you on Facebook, they can watch and hang out with you on Facebook. And the people who want to hang out with you and watch you on YouTube can do so on YouTube. There are a lot of people on YouTube that don't even use Facebook and vice versa. So you may find that your audience will grow by doing that. The other thing that can happen when you multi-stream, the little fringe benefit here, let's say someone is following you on YouTube, but they prefer to hang out with you on Facebook, but they're only over here because of you. Now that you're over here, they're like, oh, sweet, I'm going to go hang out on Facebook where I want to hang out. So you're giving your audience options, but you're also you're meeting them where they are, right? You're meeting them where they are. You're not forcing them to go change the room that they want to be in. And so consider multi-streaming, and then you also don't have to worry about those issues with the external links, right? So StreamYard makes multi-streaming super great and super easy. That's all you need right here. We're multi-streaming right now, so that's how I'm able to see comments from YouTube, comments from Facebook. I can display them, and you guys can all kind of be like, oh, sweet. So like, for example, Christian's hanging out over in YouTube. He's probably hanging out on Facebook too, because Christian is like everywhere. But yeah, he is making a point. He says, I wouldn't delete any post from a Facebook page. Cluttering up the page doesn't matter. 90% of users never visit your page directly. They just go in the feed. This is actually a great point that Christian's making, is that it is rare. The only time typically, at least the typical scenario when someone is actually going to go to your page and do a scan is when they first discover you. So that's typically they're checking you out. They're kind of like, who is this person? What are they about? What do they do? What is this? They're going to do an initial scan and they're going to scroll down and check some things out. They're probably never going to do it again. Now, YouTube's a little different. People do tend to go visit YouTube profiles and look for content, and also stuff comes up in the search. But again, all that we're not talking about YouTube. So, but Facebook, I think Christian makes a really great point. So for sure. All right. Let me see. Okay. Got it. Perfect. Thank you for the clarity. So she says, we use external links as a way to collect tips from musical performers. Great point. So an example of this would be Buy Me a Coffee. Really popular platform where you can be collecting these tips, the people can be sharing stuff. I do not know if that affects. I think anytime you use an external link, it is going to be an issue. But again, it's mostly those other social platforms where people have stated they have noticed massive issues with the algorithms. But things like Buy Me a Coffee, they're becoming pretty popular. But also keep in mind, those external platforms where you could be collecting money are competing with the internal platforms as well. So Facebook has Facebook stars, YouTube, if you're at the right level, you can be getting super chats. The platforms are taking some of that money. So like Facebook stars, for example, Facebook keeps a ton of that money. I don't know what it is. It's a lot. They keep a lot of that. So if somebody gives you $5, you're only getting like $2 or something. They're keeping the money. Now, payment processing, a whole other can of worms we're not going to get into. There's all these things. So I think eventually, to be honest with you, you're going to see that these links also are going to be affected because the platforms are going to want you to use their tools because they're taking a cut of that money. They're making money. They're not making a dime if somebody's using Buy Me a Coffee. Facebook isn't making any money if somebody's paying Buy Me a Coffee to send you coffees or tacos or whatever it is that you have. So I do think that it's smart. Just be thinking, hey, these are businesses. They're not trying to make our lives miserable, but they're businesses and they also answer to Wall Street. So there's that too. So I think that it's smart for you to know that it's possible that it can come up. Other ways that you can avoid that, if you want to have that stuff, is you create an overlay and don't necessarily, don't always put the link in there, but create an overlay, right? And make it easier for people to do that. Use the comments versus the descriptions. Sometimes that's going to help you as well. A comment isn't going to get squashed as much as if your Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description, that's an external link in the description of your post. Now, when you're live and you're already live and your viewers are already there, then put the link in the comments and it's not going to have the same effect. That would be my tip, as well as use overlays, make a little banner at the bottom, whatever you need to do, put that link in it, make the link easy for people so that it's not too challenging. But that's a good question. Great point. Okay. I want to make sure I didn't skip one because I saw a question. I'm scrolling up a little bit. The humming, right? Can you demo creating a Facebook event and incorporating a StreamYard broadcast? I could do that. Christian, do we have a YouTube video on that? I was thinking we had a YouTube video on that, or a blog post maybe. I think that would be a little challenging for me to do a live demo of right now, to be honest with you, but we can maybe do a follow-up for that. Okay, I saw another question. I know I saw a question. Oh, here it comes. I'm getting there. Okay. The landlord advocate says, do we hit the live button first before we do the timer or after that? I love this question. So you could do it. You could do it either way. The real answer is you could do it either way. Now, what you want to do is you can start your video, your timer, and then go live. And then what'll happen is as soon as your live video starts, your timer will already be rolling. Now, if you have a specific timer that you want to have, like if it's a particular song, or if your timer video is maybe like almost like a preview video as well, which I've seen people do, which I think is really cool, then you want that start to be very specific. Then you would want to wait. You would want to click go live and then wait to start your timer, right? Now, you could do what we do. You start with an overlay, right? So that you have an image up. So that you have an image up and then click your timer. That's how I like to do it for my own streams. That's how StreamYard does it for most of their streams as well. But it really is up to you. You can do it either way. It doesn't matter. Just know that if you don't use an overlay and you go live and you're on screen before you click on your video inside to play your timer, some people might see you before the timer starts, right? So keep that in mind. So you'd want to be removed from the stream probably if you did it that way. But that's a good question. It's a good question. Okay, I'm going to see if we have maybe one or two more questions. Oh, cool. Jeff says they've been using the multi-stream feature. They love it. Their audience is great on Facebook, and then their YouTube audience has been growing. I personally have found the exact same thing. I started on Facebook, and then I started multi-streaming because of StreamYard. That is the only reason I started streaming to YouTube. And honestly, anymore, like 80% of the people who show up to my lives now are from YouTube. They're over on YouTube. So I think it's really cool. We have the timer and then a 10-second intro video, and then we start speaking on the stream. Just not sure, do we hit the live button after, or do we? Okay, yeah. So hit the live button, start your stuff, start your show flow. I mean, you want to hit live first, of course. So for sure. All right. How easy is using StreamYard? Well, Sarah, I was saying earlier, if you can use a mouse, then you can make amazing live broadcasts. It's extremely easy, so incredibly intuitive. We've got a really, go to our YouTube channel. There's some awesome quick tutorials for you to get started. Super, super easy. So definitely love it. Checking it out. Okay, fantastic. Sarah says she's going to try. Awesome. My only tip to you, Sarah, is just get going with it. Have some fun with it. Even if you create a practice Facebook group and that's where you play around with the live video stuff, do that. Like, just get going, right? Just make it happen for sure. Okay, so you guys, I hope that you guys liked this. Dennis, last question I'm going to answer. He says, do you think YouTube is better than Facebook? That depends on you, and that depends on your audience. I actually think that they're both great. I find success with both platforms, but they are different. So you have to understand the environments, right? And so same with LinkedIn. Your audience, where is your audience? Where's the best place for you to meet your audience and hang out with them? Is it on Facebook? Is it on YouTube? Right? Know your audience, because that's going to play a factor. And if your audience is on both platforms, then know the platforms, right? Because they are different. So, YouTube is very search oriented. It's very much people are there to learn. They're there to like get, information, lots and lots of tips. They're searching how to do things. Facebook, people are kind of more wanting that social piece, the community, the aspect, right? So I love Facebook groups for that. And I definitely like to nurture my audiences in both places when I go live. But I hang out with my audience on Facebook because I can. I can't really hang out with them on YouTube the same way. So it's very different. And so I like to use my live streams when I'm multi-streaming. And I basically, my kind of like, if you want to hang out with me, is it's come join my Facebook community. And so one's not necessarily better than the other for live video or anything. They're just different. And so you have to understand those environments and then think about the user when they're in those environments. And again, as I always say, meet them where they are and understand the room that they're in, right? YouTube is different than Facebook when it comes to all those different strategies, right? Definitely. So I definitely want to make sure that, I pointed that out. I saw that question. I was like, that's not necessarily about scheduling live videos, but I can't resist myself. I got to take that one. So for sure. Now, you guys, again, this was our Ask StreamYard show. We are live again next week. Kevin will be here. I actually had this up earlier and I totally closed it. Let me look really fast and tell you guys what Kevin's going to be talking about on next week's show, because we're live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Kevin is on next week and he is going to be talking about camera positioning. So what's the best way to position your camera for live broadcasting, live video? That's going to be a great show. So if you guys have questions for Kevin, definitely watch for it. You'll see the scheduled stream get put up there, because that's what we do. We schedule our streams, right? But because we're scheduling, this show is a weekly show, we're scheduling it about a week in advance, and that's the way we do it. So that's next week's show. Definitely tune in. And if you want to have one of your questions may be featured on Ask StreamYard, then just simply join our Facebook community. Make sure you're over there. You can go to StreamYard Community. Look for StreamYard Community in Facebook, and it will pop right up. And join the community and ask your question and use the hashtag Ask StreamYard, and we might select your question for the show. We like to pick questions that are good, beefy questions that are not just a quick little 30-second answer, but also like prompt other questions, and then we can explore those other questions and take a deeper dive. So today we talked about, should you schedule your live streams? How far in advance should you schedule them? Sam Hummelstein posted this question in our group and basically asked it, and that's what we talked about today. And so we talked about keys are have a plan for your live broadcast. You definitely want to have a strategy, create a schedule so that you can understand how scheduling your broadcasts come into play. We talked about the importance of using a thumbnail in order to create that enticement, create that tease, give people a preview of what you're going to be going live about. And then, of course, we talked about the biggest best practice was don't just schedule it and leave it. Promote that stream with social media and email. And when you schedule your live broadcast in advance, you can do that. And so that's one of the things that you can do. That's the benefit of it. And so I wanted to make sure that we did a quick recap on that because, that's what we talked about today. And make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And of course, as we talked about, subscribe to our channels, click on the notification bell so that you get notified when we go live talking about these awesome things, but also when we upload new content. So we're uploading videos all the time. StreamYard's doing a really great job of not just talking about StreamYard, but talking about live video, best practices in live video, strategies that you can be using, how you can, take a live video and turn it into a podcast, for example, right? How you can design your graphics using Canva. That's one of the recent YouTube tutorials that went up, is using Canva, right? To create your thumbnails. So definitely be making sure that you are subscribed to us on YouTube and you click on that get notification bell so that you do know when we upload new content and when we go live and we hang out with you, right? So I definitely hope that you guys enjoyed today's show. I want to make sure that you guys were taken care of, and I hope that I see you again when I'm back on the show in a couple weeks. But make sure you tune in next week to watch Kevin and talk about your camera positioning for live videos, because it is important, I promise. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to get out of here for now, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks.